My vocab is very limited, but whatever vocab I have, I think even if I use all the adjectives for him, that would be less in his honor. I think I am here because of his vision. There's so many of us who are working in the sector, and it's his vision that has made dreams come true for all of us. So inviting Dr. Bhasker Chatterjee, a visionary, eminent leader, trailblazer, distinguished stalwart, a transformative leader, and as I said, I'm no Shashi Tharoor, but all the adjectives, all of you can think of, we can use it for him. Welcome on dais, sir. Dr. Bhasker Chatterjee is popularly known as father of Indian CSR. And in the morning we were discussing that, okay, can we call ourselves as daughters and sons of CSR by virtue of him? So, okay, let's welcome him with a huge round of applause.
By now he is grandfather, not father.
Well, first of all, what can I say? I'm rendered both emotional and speechless. I have so many of you.
Excuse me, can you shut this door, please?
Yeah, can we shut the door, please? Yes, thank you. It's been an emotional journey these last, I think now 16 years virtually. I think all of the planning for strategic CSR in India begins around October of 2009. Madhukar had not got into the DBE then, and I'm so happy that he ultimately succeeded me there in the DBE, because so much of the history of strategic CSR is connected with public enterprises. Be that as it may, what have we created? There is something of a treasure. I've not used this word before, and you are inspiring me to talk in new terms. We have created a treasure house for the nation. Something that began with not even a seed that we germinated in those memorable months of 2009 between September and December. And when that went into operation on the 1st of April 2010, the history of strategic CSR began in India with public sector undertakings. This treasure, as Gayatri pointed out in the previous presentation, began with a small number of companies, barely about 8,000. And we looked at about 9 to 10,000 crores of CSR spending, and it stayed that way almost all the way till about 2016-17. Now we have 28,000 companies. We have 36,000 crores being spent in the last reported year. My hunch and my expectation is, by the time the SDGs finish in 2030, the CSR spending would have gone to 50,000 crores. We have, ladies and gentlemen, created a vertical, created a profession, created an ecosystem, created a sector of the economy, standing proud and tall, recognized by the nation at large. In these 10 years, we have consolidated and we have built something so robust that it will not fade into oblivion. It has taken all of you, each one of you, and the very large lakhs and lakhs of people who now are engaged in CSR, these years to to give to the nation, and CSR is about giving back. And you can imagine how incredibly fortunate I feel that at least I could give to the nation something so vital, so important, and so crucial to the inclusive development of our nation. All of you know, and this gets repeated from time to time, that all the concepts that we had imagined, visualized, conceptualized were all for India, by India, in India. Everything about the origins of CSR is rooted in the soil of our nation. There was not one idea in CSR that we borrowed from anywhere in the globe. Carroll's pyramid, we converted into what is now known as the Chatterjee pyramid. Government at the top, corporates at left side of the base of the pyramid, implementing agencies right side of the base of the pyramid. That is the conceptualization that we have of CSR. What is it that now, having listened to Gayatri and all the trends that are happening, it is time for us to take a set of binoculars and try and see what should come. What are the trends? What is likely to happen now? And let me begin with a few thoughts, which so far I have not had occasion to actually fully distill in my own mind. And on the way from the airport, I penned down a few thoughts just to visualize what comes after. What is CSR 2.0? How will it evolve? 1. Professionalization. We have created, apart from all the other nomenclatures that I used, a profession. As chartered accountants are a profession, lawyers are a profession, engineers are a profession, bureaucrats are a profession. We have created a CSR profession. Surabhi, sitting right in front of us, please stand up. First in the class, in the first batch of the IICA certified course on CSR. How proud we all feel, thank you, that she is here with us today. And people who began that journey have now actually come to the level of one below board. In Vedanta, we had Ritu Chingan, who retired one below board in CSR, the single vertical that takes you almost on the way to the board. Very soon we will find our way into the board. A profession about which we can all be proud to wear as a badge, and which we contributed to in the IICA, but now so many courses are sprouting. In the disciplines of the MBA, CSR is being taught. The whole concept of giving back has become fundamental to the way that you think of management practices. And that has happened because we now think of CSR in those terms. Number 2, and I think you will have a session on that. We are the only country in the world which has data. No country in the world has any data on CSR. Why not? If you ask Trump or Biden or Obama or anyone, any of the past presidents of the US, can you tell us how much money was spent on CSR in the US last year? There's likely to be a very mystified look on their faces. We are the only nation which can actually say so many projects, so many companies, so much money spent on so many projects in these localities, in these geographies, with almost pinpoint accuracy. Because now we have that kind of data, what is possible? What is that realm of the human mind that feeds on data? Research. Just as any vertical, any sector dies if there is no professionalization, similarly, any concept or thought process dies if there is no research. Today, researchers in India have real data on which to do their research. We have empowered our universities. We have empowered our towers of research and development. We have universities like Shiv Nagar, universities like South Asia University, universities like Ashoka University, whom I'm meeting next week, all driving research and asking their students to come into the field of CSR because now so much data is available. And so much is also available to faculty who teach MBAs, who teach the leaders of tomorrow. Faculty members who now have access to so much more information and knowledge on CSR than ever before. Third, and this was spoken about by Gayatri a little while ago, the linkage with ESG. These are two streams of thought, CSR and ESG, which come from different processes, different origins. CSR in India was homegrown. We built it, we visualized it, we conceptualized it, we actualized it. But ESG comes from the investor community, where the idea is that companies in which investors are likely to invest now see the totality, the 360-degree company in all its aspects, including its environmental impact, social impact, and the strength of its governance. And because these two realms are so interconnected, so fused, so synchronized, that they are a match for each other. And they sit seamlessly in the way that our thought process develops. Think back. When we were writing Schedule 7, what did we have before us? Where is Schedule 7 drawn from? How did we visualize Schedule 7? There were no SDGs then. We only had the Millennium Development Goals. So we had the MDGs on a PowerPoint presentation in front of us, and we sat around and said, how do we Indianize this? Make it for India. The origins of Schedule 7 lies in the Indianization of the MDGs. And because that happened, we have now a clear perspective. Draw or take your mind, and those of you who are specialists in this room, remember item 4, Schedule 7, and see how prescient those words are. We talk of natural resources, the purity of air, water. We talk about social forestry. We talk about flora and fauna. We cover the entire gamut of sustainability when we were actually preparing Schedule 7 way back in 2011, 15 years ago. See the vision that is now unfolded into the future pretty much as we had visualized it. That is what real policy making is about. The capacity to envision in which direction will this go. Therefore, that linkage with ESG, now that it has come about and will also now further go, is happening seamlessly in India. One is adopting the other. There is something though that needs to be addressed, and we are actually working with Garima and the MCA to try and do that. Skewed distribution of spending. It really needs to be addressed. So how should we do it? And opinion and thought are divided. If the 8 sisters of the Northeast are receiving 0.9% of funding, it is a travesty of what one had thought about. How do we make a course correction? And there are people who are saying mandate it. And there are people who are saying incentivize it. My own thought process is we have enough of mandation. If you heard Gayatri now in the presentation she made just before this, and if I sit there in front and detach myself from all of this, I think, is the compliance burden really getting so much? Is it so hard? Are you making CSR so rule-driven, columns, tick marks, boxes? How much are you going to make CSR take this process on and on and on? Hopefully somewhere it will stop, but I know it's necessary. Because those forms are being filled, therefore we have data. Why do we get such pinpointed, perfect, micro-level data? Because now corporates are reporting in a format that can allow us to collate, and that's the idea of research. So on the one hand there is this, on the other there is that, fair enough. But my view would still be that for spending in the Northeast, incentivization is a better opportunity. Provide incentives to corporates so that they get away from Maharashtra and Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh and Gujarat and find good, worthwhile spending in the Northeast. Madhukar being here, I cannot resist DPE. There was a time when DPE would prioritize, not in the Act, not in the rules, not even conceived of. The DPE would actually prioritize for PSEs, was not conceptualized. It's still not conceptualized. It is a government initiative. Fair enough, good, bad, indifferent. When the priority lists were drawn up, it was fine. And they were, asking PSUs to spend 60% of their budgets on the priority areas. Anji? Yeah, they came, but now it's a DPE which is now driving it. So all of the PSEs are waiting for the DAP priority sector. Be that as it may, Niti Aayog or DPE, until the priority sectors are now released, everything is virtually frozen. What has it reached? We are sitting today, 24th of September. The priorities of DPE have not yet been released. The Ministry of Railways has asked all the railway PSUs not to spend 1 penny. Frozen all of CSR. 23rd September, followed by the pujas, Dashera, Diwali. The whole year would have gone by before the priorities came. How can an organization even do its action plan if this is not known? If you dig a little deeper, what do you find? Why are, and this is what you and I had never thought about, why are these being delayed? The popularity of CSR is amazing. Sports Ministry, PWD Ministry, persons with disability, Culture Ministry, all of them are telling PMO, We want a slice of the CSR pie. You've done education, you've done health, you've done skill development. Move into areas which other things in Schedule 7 are there. Why can't you move to other sectors? Think of innovation. Why are we not getting? Look at this, which was presented by Gayatri just now. The whole thing about education, health has remained frozen over all these years. So shouldn't the public sector take a lead? And because this is something that ministries now want, that this year the delays are coming because ministries are really wanting their voices to be heard. Good thing or bad thing? I suspect it's a good thing. It may be that leads to delays in this year, but hopefully from next year things will get better. Again, taking a cue from Gayatri. Trust deficit. When we were trying to formulate Section 135 and the rules that came thereafter, what is it that we feared most? What did we worry about, spend sleepless nights about, and what did we think was the weakest link in the chain? For the Chatterjee pyramid to succeed, the extremities of the base had to come together. Between the corporate and the implementing agency, there were vast distances at that time. What did the NGOs call the corporates? मुनाफा खोरीज, इन पे तो सर ऐसा लागू करें कानून ताकि ये स्पेंड करें या इनको पनिश करें. What did the corporates call the implementing agencies? चप्पल एंड झोला वालास. अरे सर इनको क्या पैसे दें? बोर्ड यहां तक आया तो एनजीओ बन गया, उसी बोर्ड को उठा के यहां रख दिया तो वो भी एनजीओ बन गया. Each had a perception which was pretty bad about the other. And yet there were wonderful corporates and wonderful NGOs. That divide over these 10 years has gradually diminished. Has it gone all the way? No. But because implementing agencies and corporates are talking to each other, corporates are now understanding that in taking the views of implementing agencies, they can implement better programs, understand what the community needs. Because it is in the communities that NGOs reside. They understand the pulse. Of course, in the HCL Foundation, they had realized that many years ago. And Nidhi here stands as a masterclass in how to make NGOs come together with corporates. Hats off to you, Nidhi. I wish there were others like you. There are, of course. That's why the gap is diminishing. And because implementing agencies and corporates are now talking to each other, implementing agencies have learned the corporate language, the corporate terminologies, the ability to frame their proposals in a manner which corporates can easily decipher, read, understand, and then give funds to. In that mutual dialogue, in that closeness that is now developed, lies the future of CSR. And finally, again, here in your presentation, Garima's presentation, impact assessment, everybody is asking. 36,000 crores, where did the money go? And it's been like that for a long time. If you aggregate all the spending which has happened from there, it would be many, many thousands of crores. What's happened to the money? Can anyone really say what difference have we made on the ground? And companies and companies and companies are now using third-party social impact assessment organizations to give them their reports. Now let's say that Asian Paints is working in a district in Maharashtra. And let's say that Jindal Steel is working in a district in Karnataka. Both are doing education. Both are getting their impact assessments done. Can you compare this assessment report with that assessment report? You can't. Why can't you? Because there is no standard format. A threat we had faced even when we were writing BRR or BRSR. Everybody said, sir, how can you have a combined thing? There's this sector and that sector and this sector, and there are multiple sectors of the economy in which CSR is being spent or sustainability is being done. How can you have one format? But we did. Similarly, work is now on to begin, and Garima is part of that, to try and develop a national standard format valid across all sectors for social impact assessment. It will take time, but it will come. And when it does, it will add greatly to CSR 2.0. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for giving me this opportunity. It's been wonderful to talk to you. Wish you all the very best.
May I ask you a question, please?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Dr. Chatterjee, with your permission.
Please.
Sir, you said that we have data in place in India. Hello? You said that we have data in place, and 50,000 crores of figure you mentioned, and 0.9% goes to the northeast states. Sorry? 0.9. So that makes it 450 crores. You would recall that in the mid-80s, our ex-Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi had said that when I give 1 rupee, 15 paisa reaches down to the level, which often our Prime Minister talks about in his speeches, Modi Sahab. So out of that 450 crores also that is going to Northeast, how much of that actually goes for the purpose that the money has been given for? Or there is some kind of mismatch, or what are the checks which are there?
Rajiv Gandhi spoke of that famous percentage. What was he speaking about? When Rajiv Gandhi spoke about transmission loss, what was he talking about?
He was talking about
Exactly. CSR is a completely different ball game, my friend. There is no Rajiv Gandhi here. Now these are corporates who track every penny down to the last detail. Sit in a corporate, become a CFO, and try to fill up CSR 2 form. You will need blood pressure tablets. There's no getting away from the fact that today every pie is tracked to its last beneficiary. Any other questions?
Product. By the end of the day, we are driven by SDGs. And every day I am told that we are 70% compliance with SDG and we should make it 100%, that 30% gap should also be filled that. Are we think that we have been taken over, or we are in the right direction? Some thoughts on you. Thank you.
No, very good point. In fact, there's a big debate on United Nations system repeatedly. That this is something that I take very frequently from one of my close associates who's worked in this quite some time ago. To the West, we say, when you talk to us, we talk to you. You preach to us, we disconnect. more and more nations are asserting themselves to say, why are you giving us 17 principles? We are big enough, educated enough, knowledgeable enough to bring our own principles. And you will see in 2030 that the United Nations system will be seriously challenged. Aligning with SDGs is good because most of Schedule 7, Origins, MDG are still aligned to SDG. So we're okay with that. But to say that you must have 100% alignment, why? Who's telling us?
Yes.
Who's dictating to us? I'm sorry. India will find its own space, its own destiny in its own way.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We can take few more questions after the during the lunch break, sir.
We take one last question.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
okay, okay.
Yes. Go ahead. Yeah, please.
Hi sir, my name is Ujaswita. So somewhere you mentioned in the conversation that there are 4 prime sectors, thematic areas, basically education, health, etc., which have become saturated in terms of CSR fundings. However, I still feel that when we talk at the global level, we do see, like for example, my organization, we work at the foundational literacy numeracy level, okay, and globally we do see that the challenges still exist, like so 7 out of 10 children are still unlettered. Now, having said that, when you say, and I have also been feeling the same, that the fundings coming to these sectors have gradually reduced over the period of time in the circle. I would also like to know your thoughts on what should NGOs and organizations, particularly working on one thematic area, do once they figure out that these thematic areas are getting saturated.
I'll answer that very briefly because we're running out of time. All I'll say is this, that doing or spending on education in India can never be saturated. There's so much to do in education. I was in the Ministry of HRD for 8 years. Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan runs in my blood. If you think that, health issues of our nation will be sorted out by a part of the CSR fund, there's so much to do. It will never happen. All that we are contemplating is a little bit more diversification in the CSR spending. But I can assure you that these basic verticals will remain pretty much intact. There'll be smaller dilution, but not to the extent that you fear. Thank you.
Thank you for answering.
Thank you all so much. Sir has actually pointed upon very, very important topics, and I can vouch for it, sir, when you said that CSR has become a profession, and when we talk about data, because 2014 when the law came in, I was pursuing my PhD in CSR, and believe me, there was nothing, literally nothing to look up to. There was no research papers, there were no data, as I was mentioning, even in the international forums there were no data. So yes, we had Carroll's theory and different pyramids and principles and philosophies were there. But if we actually talk of models of doing it, and if we really talk about data, there was nothing out there. So yes, we have actually done a lot of work over here, and that's brilliant to know and understand that the linkages of CSR is with SDG even before the SDGs came into being. So Schedule 7 was actually designed while SDGs were still in the process or were not existing, only the MDGs were there. And furthermore, yes, we can see the shift from the CSR to ESG, or the integration of CSR with the ESG, which is coming up. So thank you so much, sir, for your insights. It's always great learning from you. And to felicitate, sir, I would request Dr. Neelam Gupta to come over here and felicitate him with a gift. The sovereign, sir, has been prepared by the beneficiaries of RO. These are handmade sovereigns, right?
The CSR beneficiaries.
Sir, I am reminded of one very senior IAS officer. When accepting the felicitation, he said, I don't accept, clothes boxes. So I, thank you, sir.
Sir, please. Sir, please.
iPad, laptop, iPad, case and some handmade envelopes.